Hi, and welcome to Global One Media. Joining me today is Delane Weeks, the CEO of ANKOF Resources, an exploration and development company that has been active in the mineral and energy sectors for over 12 years. ANKOF is managing several promising projects in Asia, and its market capitalization is over 26 million Canadian dollars as of today. Hello, Delane.
And thanks very much, Munir, for the opportunity to speak to you.
It's our pleasure. Your project on Block 8 in Cambodia has been delayed by the pandemic. What is the project status today, and are there other developments in other projects that you would like to share?
Certainly, I think COVID had an impact on everybody in a variety of ways, but some of the projects were delayed, whatnot. Block 8 is an onshore oil and gas license. I've just returned from 6 weeks in Cambodia, and we have signed the production sharing agreement. Both the Minister of Mines and Energy and the Ministry of Economic and Finance have also signed. So we expect to see that in our hands. We're told it's at the Prime Minister's desk at this time. So we will be moving forward with that, and we're really keen to move on that. Cambodia needs its own source of energy, as we're seeing across many countries affected in these times, that the demand for natural gas, LNG, and a variety of fuels is becoming imperative. So we're really keen to move forward on that. And at the same time, we've been asked to restart the offshore production that had ceased in May of 2021. Chris Energy had a license, Block A, which is about 160 kilometers southwest of Sihanoukville Port. We're looking seriously and negotiating with the government on restarting that with a team of offshore experts. And I would guess that we would see that in the next 6 weeks. Ultimately, energy has taken a real strong position as far as the priorities in Asia right now, because we do have some developing countries that just don't, they're actually rationing their fuels and their times that their businesses are open. So it's something that is very much front and center.
Okay, that's very good progress. And you give a lot of emphasis to social and environmental issues in your projects. Can you tell us about how you are able to achieve commercial viability while still meeting high ESG standards, such as in the Philippines, for example?
Well, whether it's the Philippines or Cambodia or Canada, I think ESG is sometimes separated from the way we ought to be doing business. And frankly, for our environmental social governance, we have implemented really strong methods of including people, planet, profit as a philosophy right from the time that we started 12 years ago. So for us, if we're working in any area, of course we want to be looking at the communities, and of course we want to be looking at how we can lower our carbon footprint and protect the environment and move it forward, because it's simply the best way forward, regardless of our jurisdiction. So the Cambodian government certainly has embraced the initiatives that we've undertaken over the past decade or so, and I think it's set a real precedent for industry that you can do it on your own terms and on your own budget, but it's mostly a philosophy about how you want to do business. So lots of educational programs, lots of really environmental basics, and of course, inclusivity for the governance of each community or each country or each project. So I think it shouldn't, in my opinion, we shouldn't have to focus on ESG if we're doing a really good job of incorporating it automatically into our projects.
I agree. And you mentioned the environment in Cambodia. How complex is the regulatory environment in Cambodia, and how do you navigate that complexity?
Well, Cambodia it's a developing country, so it's an evolving nation. And that means that they don't have regulatory policies that would be at the same level as a developed nation. What we can do is bring the best practices that we've encountered working in Canada, working in Europe, working in other countries, and say, we can fast track that. And so part of that, it really sets an example for Cambodia so that we might be a couple of steps ahead of their regulatory process, but it's part of molding it into a pattern for the country. They can say, we're doing it already elsewhere, so we just transfer that over and put it into place in Cambodia as well. It's one of the areas where we can merge best practices from another nation, from a developed nation to a developing nation like Cambodia.
And what are the most common risks you usually face in your projects? And how do you handle them?
Well, I think certainly in these times, I think supply chains are a major factor wherever we are today. And that supply chain might be on actual components or parts that we're looking for, but it also might be on human resources and getting them in the right place at the right time. So anytime we're working in a developing country, I think we need to be well aware that there are geopolitical factors as well. So we have to not only look after and do good planning for our supply chains, but we also have to look ahead about the implications of those geopolitical risks and mitigate them. We've been in Cambodia a long time. I think it's one of the most secure countries to do business in. And we've found that over the last 12 or 13 years, we can move forward with that. If anything, I guess I find that there's a bit of risk of it takes a long time to get some things done. But how do we manage that? Well, we have to then plan ahead for that and know that if we thought we could get it done in 3 months, we should be budgeting 6 to 8 months to make sure that we get through the necessary cycle and bureaucratic requirements for compliance and permitting.
So preparation.
I think lots of preparation, and I think knowing your country, knowing the hurdles that you're going to run into, and like I said, we find a pretty good comfort level now after being there over a decade that we can build that into the solutions. It never happens fast enough, but I can say that of our own backyard in Canada. There are delays here that in moving our carbon capture forward in Saskatchewan, we would like to accelerate that, but the government wants to put a new meter in, and so we have to wait. And because the government is short of staff as well, we have more delays than I would like. But again, that's just part of planning that and building in those contingencies so that your projects, it's not going to stop you in your tracks, but you still proceed forward.
All right. And what factors do you think will boost your company's valuation in the near and medium terms?
Well, I think we're at a great price right now. I still think we're very undervalued. And I think as soon as we bring in our cash flows and actually have recurring cash flowing into the account, which will happen. It's happening in 2022. And I also think that the advancements in the next few weeks on the energy offshore and onshore in Cambodia, I think we'll have a big factor in bumping it as well. So I hope so. And we'll see what happens in the future.
Well, wish you the best of luck. Delaine, thanks a lot for the information and joining us today. We look forward to hearing the next updates and developments from ANKOF.
Munir, it's been a real pleasure. And I too look forward to sharing the success with each and every one of you.